Man, there ain't nothing like a dunk contest going on inside of the Dean Dome.
Oh, no, whoa, no!
I'm good. I would need I would die. 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 I would need I would die.
What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? Welcome into the post-game reaction of North Carolina's 127-63 win over Johnson C. Smith in their exhibition game. Man, this was a fun game to watch. All of you that joined in for the watch party, I absolutely had a great time with you guys, and I can't wait for some more watch parties for the basketball season coming up starting next weekend. Man, we got the season kicking off with Elon. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. But North Carolina took care of business, and today I thought they got some rhythm, started to show some collusion there in this game. I felt like Carolina started to figure out some things that they're going to be doing throughout the season. I thought they locked in more defensively in this game. I thought they got out in transition better in this game than they had in previous. And I felt like your rookies in Drake Powell and Ian Jackson, and even some of James Brown, looked a whole lot better in this game. Let's talk about it, man. 127-63 was the score. Johnson C. Smith come out knocking down three-pointers left, right, and center, whether it be contested or not. They were knocking them down. They were 4 of 8 in the early going, and then afterwards Carolina locked down defensively and then really started to get going. This is a team that in the previous game against Memphis, not Michigan, but Memphis, in the exhibition game that they played up there in Memphis, this team had some issues getting out in transition in the first half. If you guys remember, it was a really close game. Memphis even led by 9 points at one point in time in that game, and it felt like Carolina was having some issues getting going in that game. Cade Tyson was having some issues, and Drake Powell and Ian Jackson were having issues getting going, but they finally figured themselves out in the second half of that game, and then just started to do what Carolina basketball does. And I felt like they did the same thing again today, man, but they got it going from the get-go, man. I felt like the first couple of minutes were trying to figure everything out, how everything was going. Johnson C. Smith, obviously, this is it's a HBCU that's going to come in here and they're going to give them your best shot. And this is not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. Johnson C. Smith's actually a fairly good team. They got guys who can shoot the basketball, and they showed that very early going in the game. But once Carolina finally got settled in, I felt like Carolina came out and then started to really work on some of the stuff that we're going to see from them going forward. A lot of points off of turnovers today. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to keep an eye on my stats here, but points off of turnovers, they got 26 points off of turnovers today. That was big time for Carolina. They were able to get 72 points, in the paint. Points in the paint, big time for this team. You know, this is a team that's going to be a little bit smaller. We talked about this some during the watch party. This is a team that is smaller at the guard position, and you were wondering how points in the paint were going to come for North Carolina, considering you lose Armando Bacot, Jalen Washington stepping in as a starter for the first time. You wonder what the depth's going to be like behind him. I thought Vin Allen Lubin had a good game today. Hopefully Ty Claude can get this eligibility thing figured out, that he'll be able to be a presence down there in the post as well. James Brown, get him more frequent down there in playing in these games, and also Cade Tyson as well. Jalen Withers, again, every time that dude cuts baseline and has the ball, he's probably going to lay that sucker in, if not throw it down. It just seems like that is his go-to move, and if he's going baseline, I think it's about an 85% chance that sucker's going in, from what I can tell. I mean, maybe I'm just that way, but no, I felt like Carolina did a good job down there. Obviously, you're curious what it's going to be like when you face bigger talent early on, like Alabama that you're going to have to face, Kansas that you're going to have to face, and a few other teams, to say the least. But it does feel like Carolina is starting to figure out that rotation down there. They thought they fought for rebounds, and that's going to be a big key for North Carolina moving forward, is the rebounding. A couple other things as well that we'll get to a little bit later on in this post-game reaction. But Jalen Washington went down there, and he finished the day with 12 points, 5 of 6 from the field, got 2 free throws, 7 rebounds, which is big, and had 2 fouls. Also down there, Van Allen Lubin, who had an amazing game, a double-double, 18 points, going 8 of 10 from the field, knocked down a 3-pointer, which is also really good, especially what Hubert Davis wants to go with, a team that can stretch the floor, that can be a scoring threat from all over the court, where everybody has to be, the defense, whoever's guarding Carolina, they have to stay locked on to whoever they're guarding, and it's going to be hard to double team. That's what Hubert Davis wants to create here, and we saw some of that today. But knocked down one of his 2 free throws, got 12 rebounds, and also had a foul as well. So Van Allen Lubin's going to be a guy that when we brought him in from Vanderbilt, he was going to be a piece that was going to be pivotal to what Carolina's wanting to do, especially down there in the low post. That is the biggest question for Carolina. Defense on the guard positions, and also low post scoring and defense and rebounding as well. So I felt like those two, Wash and Val, looked really good today down there, handling their business down there. Jalen Withers did a good job. I thought K. Tyson really started to come into his own. Today, he was a guy that was aggressive. He was also a guy that was everywhere defensively. He got his body in good positions. He didn't let guys get by him, and did a really good job of poking the ball out and showing some of that grit and tenacity that K. Tyson will have. One thing that I've talked about losing from last year, guys like a Harrison Ingram and a Cormac Ryan, those guys are going to be pests defensively, get in somebody's head, and also be able to do some dirty work and really force whoever they're going up against to beat them man to man. And you're just gonna have to out physical me in order to score a basket. And I felt like K. Tyson showed some of that today. Not the biggest talkative guy in the world, but he doesn't have to be in order to do what he does. Point proven. Or for an example, Seth Trimble. Guy doesn't talk a whole lot as well. Does everything that he needs to do. And also Seth Trimble was really good today as well. But felt like Carolina was starting to get going. Elliot Cadeau still knows how to pass the ball. We could definitely tell that for sure. RJ Davis is still that guy. Ian Jackson had a dunk party inside of the Dean Dome today. He went flipping nuts, and I'm willing to bet that there's already an NIL t-shirt being created right now with that windmill dunk, a picture of that windmill dunk. I bet you the next time I'm in Chapel Hill, that sucker's going to be in Chapel Hill Sportswear. How much you guys want to bet? I'm willing to bet on that one. Yeah. And I would buy that t-shirt too, because that's cool. And by the way, I think it was UNC Barstool said, here, Captain Jack has finally arrived. I really enjoyed that a lot. But Ian Jackson offensively looked like he started to settle into the game really well. Early on, felt like he was forcing some shots, but it felt like he started to settle in, did a really good job of getting down court. A couple of things I am worried about with him, though. Putting his body in harm's way. That's going to be something that they're going to have to keep an eye on, because the commentator said it, and you see it, and you watch it, and it does make sense. Ian Jackson is very Ja Morant-esque in he's got the hops. He's got the ability to go do these acrobatic things, but he's also a little too willing to put his body in danger. And that's something that Carolina and Hubert Davis is going to have to bring down just a smidge. Sometimes, yeah, it's cool, no problem. He would have had a really cool highlight if he would have got that dunk. But, sometimes you don't need to try to jump out of the gym and out of your shoe, literally, in order to make a highlight play. Sometimes you don't have to do that. You don't want to take a guy out of who he is, but you might want to reserve him just a smidge. Like, hey, man, maybe don't try to jump 15 feet right there. You don't have to, So, and so one thing you got to watch out for, but also his horizontal movement on defense. I felt like that was something that he wasn't as good at. I felt like he kind of got beaten by a couple of times. Thankfully, help defense for Carolina this year looks to be really good. I mean, it felt like anytime somebody got beat, maybe there was somebody on the back end to help them out and put a body. I felt like Carolina did a really good job closing out on shooters on the perimeter, but also making sure a body is on a body in the post. A couple of times they got beat on that. That's going to happen into the course of a game, but for majority of the time, it felt like Carolina did a really good job defensively of staying in front of their defenders. And when somebody was trying to drive in the lane, one person guarding, but another person sneaking a hand in, maybe tapping that ball, poking it a little bit, and that creates points, or that creates turnovers, which could lead to points off of turnovers. And that's the way Carolina wants to play. They want to be a fast, physical team that is getting turnovers and scoring off of those turnovers and getting down the court as fast as humanly possible. And I thought we saw some of that today. This team overall, in my opinion, is going to be a very fun team to watch. And this team is going to be, the success of this team, and we talked about this in the watch party, the success of this team is going to be predicated on a few different things. Rebounding, that's the biggest one. Offensive and defensive rebounding. I thought we did a good job with second chance points. Van Allen Lubin got a good bit of his points off of second chance buckets, which is good. We need stuff like that, especially on the offensive glass. But also the perimeter defense, the ability to be able to create some of those turnovers and score off of them, getting down court and being precise and scoring off of those turnovers. And the ability of every player on the court, Cade Tyson being one, Ian Jackson and Drake Powell, getting them going, but all of them being able to be scoring threats. Because if Carolina can be physical on defense, it's going to help them. Defensively, it's going to help them, and it's also going to be able to, if they're able to be physical, get points off of turnovers, and consistently rebound well, it's going to help them in some of the categories where they're going to be, mismatched a little bit. When you don't have the tallest guards in the world, there's going to be times of that. But if Carolina can consistently do what I just said and get better and everybody becomes scoring threats, I think that even though you might have some issues defensively, if you're able to get some turnovers, some extra turnovers, create some points off of those turnovers, it's going to start to balance things out a little bit. So, the stuff that your weaknesses, your strengths have to overpower your weaknesses in order to win, right? That's just any team, anywhere. Every team has weaknesses, and your strengths have to overpower those weaknesses. And I think that's where Carolina needs to focus in on. And I felt like they did a good job of that today. I'm curious to see how they're going to do, going forward. They're getting a hard taste of it really early in the season, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm excited to see what Carolina does early, because when you get through the non-conference of this schedule, they should be really ready for ACC play. Once again this year, just like last year, they should be really ready for ACC play. So I'm excited to see what they do today. Tell me what you guys think down there in the comments below about this game, this exhibition game. How you feel about the Carolina Tar Heels going into the regular season. I'm looking forward to them. I think they're going to be fine. And also, down in the comments below, this has been a conversation we've been talking about over the last couple of watch parties. Tell me what your starting five is to start the season. I'll tell you guys mine right now. To start the season, now let me preface this, to start the season, not to finish, but to start, I think you're starting five. Ellie Kiddo, RJ Davis, Cade Tyson, Van Allen Lubin, Jay Wash. I think that's your starting five to start the season. Let me know what you guys are down below and why. I believe that starting five will change as the season goes on. But to start the season, I think that's what you go with. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. And as always, go Heels.